Hello everybody. I've been working on terrain, so I haven't done an update in a while because, well, first off, terrain is difficult for me. It uses concepts that I'm not used to, so I've got to learn all these concepts to see how to do this kind of stuff. And I've only, even though the terrain looks the same, it's been rewritten, so the internals are vastly different than what they were before. Um, you may already notice, if you have a good eye, or artist eye, you may notice that the transition between vertices is a little bit smoother. So, for instance, this right here, it used to be jagged, but now it's got a nice blended texture between the grass and the rock. Instead of using one texture for everything, I'm using what's called a blend texture, which allows me to control how much blend I have over two textures per pixel. Of course, this is really nice because we have a nice transition between the grass and the rock, the rocky terrain. You can go down here into this. This is a mathematical hole, by the way. This isn't dug out, so don't get your hopes up yet for the dugout terrain. Hopefully, it'll become a feature. I'm not sure. It's very different from the mathematical terrain because it can be player controlled and stuff. So maybe I'll get to that. I'm not sure. Anyway, so yeah, lighting and blending should look a little bit better than it did before. Um, so the rocky jagged edges will show up. Of course, if the terrain is jagged like this, the rocky terrain will be on the sides and mostly prominent if it's jagged. And the grass will, of course, it'll be like on the tops of these because it's not as jagged. This is expected. So let me transition back to the original terrain and explain kind of what smooth normals are. This is an improvement to the lighting. So I've switched it to a slightly reflective material. Oh yeah, ignore the rays, by the way. Um, those are debug. Those won't be in the official add-on. Anyway, you can see that the terrain, the transition between vertices and stuff is smoother. It used to be jagged before, so a good example of like jagged is down here. I've got some cloth, and the edges are extremely jagged. You can definitely tell where kind of each triangle is, but if we go up to our terrain up here, it's a little harder to tell which triangles there are because it has been smooth. So you can see like it's obviously smoother than the cloth down there or whatever. That's pretty much about it for now. Most of the time I've spent has been rewriting the terrain. It's definitely, the code for this terrain is vastly different than the code for the terrain I showed like a couple weeks ago. Um, so yeah, hopefully in the next update I will have like a server running with this terrain. I did have that open before, but the terrain was crashing people, so I had to remove it. It became a problem. This one is a little less crashy, I've noticed. I haven't really crashed yet, so of course that's always a nice thing to have, is to not crash. One thing I have noticed though, it's a little bit more performance heavy due to the blending of the textures. I'm not sure if I can get around this, but I will definitely see if I can improve performance on the terrain. Because yeah, you can see. Though I guess that bad frame rate is actually because of the cloth. So let me remove that. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the performance has just gone way up. Okay, so it's definitely comparable to the terrain it was before. That's for now. Again, next video, hopefully I will get on a server running, and I'm hoping to get some tree generation into this terrain.